Time to pick up where we left off with the Mastering Movement series, this time on Eden Top Catwalk. As usual, I'll be starting with the basics, the things that I think you need to know, and then we'll move into some more 20HX, very scenario-specific and difficult jumping strategies. Like most top catwalks in Halo, Eden's top catwalk is the highest point of verticality on the map. It's right in the dead center of the map as well, and while you're up here, you've got sight lines over like 85 to 90% of the map. You can see pretty much the entire map while you're up here. So it goes without saying, it's the most important part of the map to know how to navigate and control effectively, especially in a game type like Strongholds, where if you cap this Stronghold, you got sight lines over on the blue bend, or you can just fly over to Red Nest in a second to get that double cap, depending on what's going on. So you got a lot of opportunity here. That being said, it can be tough to control, because you can see everything, but everybody can also see you. The only spawn that you're blocking when you're here is the tower spawn. Unless you're taking preventative measures, every other spawn is open. Like the red spawn, the outside spawns, the blue spawn would be open. A player could just spawn over in blue alley, get up, and start shooting you in the back in seconds if you're not looking there or tossing nades or doing something to prevent it, which is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point, so your ability to stay alive, navigate this area of the map without immediately falling off of Catwalk can be crucial in winning games. And we'll get into how that works, but let's first split this into 3 zones real quick. So we'll call this area here Zone 1, call this middle part of the bridge Zone 2, and this part over here Zone 3. The first thing I'm going to say is, just to get this out of the way, don't spend much time in Zone 2. This is a pretty useless area of the bridge to be hanging out on. If you find yourself crossing people trying to get in battles on this area of the bridge and staying here, it's a bad idea. It's hard to stay alive. You're in a situation where you got no cover, you're forced to burn a thrust, and your easily available exit is to drop off of the bridge and go back into tower. It's just not a very good place to go. You can go behind here as well, I guess, but like in general, Zone 2, I wouldn't stay here long. You're basically just flying across here to get to places like this over in Zone 1, or to get over to the blue base. Zone 3 is not where you're going to be if you want to control top catwalk, but it's a pretty safe place to be if you're aggressing top catwalk, and you got a lot of options for traversing blue base, which we might look into. Most of your time is going to be in Zone 1, so let's get into Zone 1. Remember how that bottom mid to top mid jump in the Plaza video was crucial for controlling top mid in Plaza? I'd say the same type of thing about controlling this pipe area when aggressing top cat. Whether players are on top cat, whether they're in blue, being able to navigate this pipe is so useful in staying alive, in getting back your shields, avoiding nade splash damage, jumping back up, applying pressure without just actually falling off catwalk, losing your power position. You got a lot of options here, and it's not too hard to navigate. I would say just don't waste your time clambering like this, or clambering like this to get up here. That's just a free opportunity for enemies to toss nades or shoot you. Instead, get in the hang of crouch jumping. Get in the hang of crouch jumping up to this area, and always remember to have your reticle effectively placed as you crouch jump up, so you can get into a battle immediately, fire shots immediately. You can even like toss a nade as you jump up and start firing shots, or whatever you want to do. You have some options, but if you're in trouble when you're here, just drop back down, and then jump back up, and drop back down. You can be such a nuisance just doing that, and that's just kind of like a basic way to apply pressure and be aggressive, and it's not hard to do. Even if you're kind of just, like, you're here, and you're walking up, you toss a nade, and you start shooting at people over on the catwalk, I would always bear in mind how this is, like, set up. You can... Of course, you can't push your back over here and fall on it, but if you know that you can walk all the way out, like purposely strafe all the way out while you're firing shots, and then put yourself in that position where you can drop back down and fall in, then you can prep yourself to stay alive if you need to. So you toss a nade, you start applying pressure, shooting, you start going weak, and then you drop in. And then you get your shields back, and then you jump back out. If you're going to miss it, you start going too far. Remember to hold clamber as you drop. There's a chance that you might, pull back too far. You might get lucky. You might be able to clamber and stay on. If you miss completely, you fall off. The main way to get back up is to jump onto here and then jump over to here. It doesn't even need to be a crouch jump, but as usual, always hold crouch and just clamber up to these spots. And of course, this area has an opportunity for scaling, just like that jump in Plaza, except for this, it's a lot quicker. You're not pegging that left stick. You're very quickly, very lightly tapping backwards. Like I even did it too far, that one. On that one, very lightly tapping backwards, holding clamber. You're up here. Remember, every time that you clamber in a situation that you have to clamber, you can always drop that clamber immediately after. Like, you can jump, scale, and then now that you're here, hold crouch, hold back, drop back, clamber. So in a scenario that you jump up here and there's a player in security, you start firing shots, you can drop back, clamber, and juke him out. You're in a spot where you can juke if you need to. I wouldn't depend on it, but something to note. One other cool thing about navigating this area is, yes, you can crouch jump up to here. Also bear in mind that if you push your body into the wall and do a regular jump, so just run into the wall, like hold forward, do a regular jump, you'll just land on a beam here. And when you're on this beam, people can't really see your head. Like somebody in top cap might be able to see the tip of your head, but if they spawn in blue, they're not going to see you. And what's interesting about this spot is you can toss nades through the freaking wall. and nobody really does this. And I mean, it's not exactly like the most precise thing. You'd have to, kind of practice where you want to lob them, and you can't really tell if you got them until you got the hit marker or whatever it is. But it is kind of neat to know that you can just kind of push your body in the wall and just toss some nades, like literally through. They're going through the wall, and they're landing in pretty decent areas on the catwalk. So if you get good at it, something to keep in mind. One last little note about this area is while you can drop on this pipe to stay alive, you can also pick a more aggressive route and shimmy your way outside the catwalk like this. Now, this is something I try to go for a lot, but it's super risky to go for, obviously, because if players aren't in blue and they're anywhere else on the map, look how easy it is to get shot. Like, you're completely out in the open, you'll get shot for free, so you have to have a lot of awareness on the spawn being on blue, or if players, like, you see them spawn blue, they start shooting at you, and you decide to do that, they think you fell off, and then you crouch jump, and you can immediately start applying pressure on them again, or you can wait until they get into the stronghold and then go for the back smack or whatever you want to do. So you have some, like, really great outplay options, and it's not too hard to get here. I'd say just push your body. You don't have to peg the stick. Just lightly push your body up against the wall and hug the wall as you walk around. So you can get used to doing it pretty quickly. You can get the hang of it, but if you're slightly too fast and you're not precise, you will fall off, and it'll be a waste of your time. But once you get in here, it can be pretty useful. You could go all the way to the edge here and, like, toss a nade and come back out and kind of be, like, annoying, whatever it is. If you're not going to shimmy, you can always do this. You can thrust into the wall. You end up burning your thrust. Once again, super risky. You're in a risky spot, but if you know they're in blue, somebody's shooting at you, you're over here, you can burn your thrust like that and then poke back out, fire shots again when they don't expect you to come back. So you can do a lot with this area. Just make sure you don't thrust too early like that. If you thrust too early, you can fall off. You just want to save your thrust to right when you're, like, at the midpoint, falling off, like, right there, and then you'll just land right on it. You can hold into the wall, but you don't need to hold the left stick. You're still going to stay there. If instead players are spawning on the red side of the map and pushing up into red nest, then of course this spot is no longer very safe. You could alternatively do the standard thing and apply pressure from tower, use the cover to your advantage to apply pressure and stay alive here, or you can get really good at navigating this spot, which is of course a very important spot of our zone 1. You got to be able to get in and out of this spot quickly, and that just comes down to doing precise crouch jumps. Don't waste your time clambering up onto these walls. Of course that'll slow you down, that'll put your gun down. It's easy to just crouch jump onto these spots to get in and out or go around this area quickly. Now when you are here, you can shimmy across both of these walls all the way to the edges. This is more helpful for the blue side, of course. This is a great place to be if you're applying pressure on blue side of catwalk. You can even just kind of hold your reticle here if you know a player's coming through blue, and you can get first shot an opponent, toss a nade on him, whatever, and then back up to stay alive. This is a lot more scenario specific, but you can also kind of go and hide and hang out in here. If you remember, if some of you guys have been following Halo 5 since the beginning, Frosty went in this spot in an old tournament. I want to try to find it, like back in 2016 or something. He was in this spot with a sniper, and he got a sick double kill, just chilling here, shooting through this area of Catwalk. You can actually hit, you can see that you can knock that down. You can see the OS and whether or not somebody's grabbed the OS from this spot as well. So kind of a cool little situational thing, something you're not going to worry about too often though. And also, of course, you're vulnerable to these angles when you're up here. You could drop into here to try to stay alive from a situation like that, but at some point you're probably going to have to fall off to stay alive. And if you fall off, the only thing I can say is just try not to ever fall on the ground. You don't want to be in this spot. This is an ugly spot to be in, because if you want to get out, the easiest way to get out is to stabilize jump up to here. Stabilize jump is going to put you on the radar. They'll know where you are immediately. Or you can spring jump, because you can't jump and hold crouch and reach this. It just doesn't work, as you can see. If you fall and you have the presence of mind to hold crouch when you fall so that you can spring jump when you get back up, then, kudos to you. But I would say try to never fall down there. Instead, you can burn your thrust, although that's kind of a waste of the thrust, I would say. You could peg your stick, fall off, and just clamber up onto the edge, like every time. So if you're in trouble, you're hanging out here, somebody's applying pressure, you can clamber it, walk over here, and then you can jump into the window. If you want to jump into the window here, I'd say try to walk all the way to the edge. You kind of feel your Spartan fall for a second. You can see it too. He kind of like falls for a second, and then you jump, you get a lower jump. Or of course you can crouch and then jump for a lower jump, which is a little slower. Always make sure you have your reticle placed for stuff like this. You can spring jump into the windows as well, which is something that I'll do on like this side, and like spring jump in, and I kind of messed that up. You get the point. You can fall down, hold crouch, and spring jump your way into the window. You can do that seamlessly. I didn't do it very well right there, but you get the point. And then you have Zone 3, which is an area you'd typically be in temporarily if you're applying pressure to top catwalk. You might spawn an alley, in which case if you spawn here, I'd recommend not clambering up here. You can crouch jump to get up here. Some people like to sprint stabilize jump to get up. So there are a variety of ways to get up while having your reticle ready for a battle. You should use that. I would also recommend not taking battles in this part of Zone 3. You've got walls beside you. It's not as intuitive to escape from this area as it is if you were to take a battle over here where you can just strafe and fall off, or you can strafe this direction. You don't have to burn a thrust necessarily. And then when you get the kill or the way is clear, you can start to push up, apply pressure, whatever you need to do. If you spend a lot of time hanging out here, it's more so because you're crossing like Red Nest or this area, or you're pushing up on Blue Bend through the window, and that makes more sense, especially because you have sneaky ways to make it over to top catwalk from the alley, right? You can crouch jump up to this beam over here. From here, you got an angle in a tower. You can stabilize, jump out, thrust back in. If you don't want to burn your thrust, you can do like a classic Halo style maneuver like that, where you kind of twist your body out around. You can crouch jump out, but you don't really have to do that. A lot of people will like crouch jump and clamber up to this spot, which works, which can be effective, but then it puts you in a clamber where you could take free shots. I find this jump's more effective if you're going this way. If you're going to push blue and you want like a sneaky way to push blue, and if you're good at spring jumps, you don't even need to worry about putting your body all the way out here and then crouch jumping. If you spring jump, you can do it from a lower point on the stairs, and you can be even more stealthy when you push blue base. And the reason why I say it's better for pushing blue is because you can jump off this for pushing catwalk. If you don't crouch jump, just do a regular jump and hold clamber right at this spot right here. You will get up there every time. It's actually not that hard to do. Just don't even bother holding crouch. Just hold clamber and jump. You get up there for free, and then jump from there, and you can make your way over to catwalk, or you can even jump back into this spot. So this actually gives you a lot. This jump people don't really use. It gives you a lot of leeway, and of course now I'm messing it up. Of course now it's like I've forgotten how to do it. It's actually not very hard to do once you get the hang of it. It's just a very small spot that you have to clamber, and once you do that, you get a nice clean jump up. And the process of clambering is hidden. Like the time that you spend clambering is away from enemy fire. So it's a pretty safe way to get up to top cat. And here are a few advanced ways to get up to top cat for all the 20HX kids like myself. You can always do your super jump like that. That'll work to get up there. Or you can use this wall. Instead of using this, you can spring jump up onto this wall and then jump off of it, and you can get up here as well. It's kind of hard to find a scenario to go for something like that because it's just easier to do this, and you don't really gain much by doing this, but something to keep in mind. You can also do it from the other side as well. You can either jump off of these barrels and then crouch jump and then jump off of that and get in this little cubby here, and then from this little cubby, you can jump over here. You can get back up to top catwalk. There's also that crazy spring thrust that Shotzi did in one of my old videos where you can spring jump. You can do two spring jumps. You can spring jump up to the box and then spring thrust stabilize and clamber up to this spot. What he did, though, was he clambered up to the box and then bounced his head off of the wall behind him, so you can kind of shove your head into this, hold crouch so you land on the floor and crouch, and then you can spring thrust and get your way up to top catwalk. This one could be pretty useful as well, though I haven't seen people go for this in a long time. You can jump and kneecap off of this and then stabilize your way up to top catwalk. So it could be a little tricky, but you want to sprint, keep your sprint maintained forward, do a regular jump out of sprint, so don't slide or anything. You want your sprint maintained forward, and then you want to bank your shins off of this with a thrust. So you sprint, jump, thrust, and then you'll fly off of it, and you could grab the top catwalk like you saw a second ago. You can also aim it to go into the window here as well, and then fly up that way and get into the window. So a lot you can do with that. Of course, that burns your thrust. It's out in the open. Both these jumps, both the one off the box and off of this box to get up to top cat, are super risky. There are alternative ways to get up that are still pretty fast, but if you can capitalize on this at a crucial moment, it could help you out, so something to keep in mind. Here's another quick one. Proximity was showing me this the other day. You want to sprint, jump, thrust slide, stabilize, and then try not to bump your head on the roof. That's one of the most difficult parts about this jump, is even if you seem to get it right, you can still bank your head accidentally. There you go. So you're thrust sliding on contact with the floor, like on the ledge here. So you sprint, jump with your sprint maintained forward, time your thrust so it makes contact with, I would say, like this area of the ledge, and then you want to jump immediately, stabilize, hold crouch, and clamber up. You got to avoid bumping your head. It can be kind of difficult. Is it a useful jump? Sorta, I guess, but something to keep in mind nonetheless. The last one I'm going to show for now is this one from here up to top catwalk. It's pretty difficult. I don't really see anybody ever go for it, but it is pretty cool if you can get it down. It's not the most useful overall, but once again, just another cool jump. You want to crouch jump onto this and then spring jump backwards up to top catwalk. I need the scoreboard for this because the technique that I use for spring jumping doesn't really help me spring jump backwards very effectively, so I crouch jump in, scoreboard, and then spring jump back, and you can clamber up like that. Pretty crazy jump. Give it a try. Overall, that covers some important jumps and strategies for controlling Top Catwalk in Eden. Now, of course, there are tons of other jumps and strategies to take advantage of in just this map alone, so let's continue this conversation on my live stream. For once, tomorrow, Sunday, I will be live from about 12 p.m. Eastern till I'm planning 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you join me at 12 p.m. Eastern, finally I have a Sunday off where I can do this. We can play Halo, but also talk about all of these jumps. I'm planning on going back into a custom game and jumping around this entire map and looking at different strategies on the entire map. So jump into my live stream. You can join the conversation. We can figure out the best ways to navigate and play Halo 5 on all these different maps and just see where it goes. So 12 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/the Shyway. Hopefully I'll see you there. Till then, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell beside the subscribe button. Keep in touch with everything the moment it comes out. I'll see you guys soon.